Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Track Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Donald. Rob is still on a little bit of a break, but our thoughts are with him, and we'll leave that at that for his privacy. But I do want to say, it's one of these, I was busy on Monday, and then Wednesday, we had a lot going on, so we had taken off the whole day. And we've actually I've gotten a couple messages from our subscribers, our friends, making sure everybody was okay. So I do want to say thank you to everybody that reached out to make sure that there was nothing too catastrophic going on for us while we took a little bit of a break before getting into the full spring training and the season opening day. So thank you to everybody. I greatly appreciate it on behalf of everybody on the team here. So it's been a wild of a week, Donald, and the Yankees just seem to, I'm going through the spring, and you have the highlights with Dominguez. Like Jones has actually had a couple of really good at bats, and Peraza has been shining. Cabrera's been playing really well this spring. Is it me, or does it just seems like there's something missing as far as fireworks this spring with this team? And for me, I just haven't felt the same excitement I did a year ago. Which is mainly minus Soto, if we really want to be honest about it. As much as I'm over the loss of him, it happened, it's done. There's nothing, no bitching can change that. But it just seems like something's just missing this spring. And I think it's the early injuries.
Yeah.
We've had to endure. I think that's where it really falls down. Stanton so early, usually in the spring, we don't usually have issues with him. But that was, the offseason negligence of the front office, of why Stanton's not ready for the spring. He said, we're going to be honest with you. You could disagree with us, but that's just, I'm sure Donald could agree with me on that one. But it's, LeMahieu, as much as we don't, we were all, we've been saying LeMahieu can't be on the starting lineup. Well, you never want it's not. We didn't want him to be hurt as a reason for it. And then of course, I think to me the big blow is with the pitching, and that's Luis Gil, and that's where I want to start the discussion. As far as with the injury concerns, is it into a situation? Is the depth deep enough to withstand the possible 3-month hiatus that we're not going to see Luis Gil for off of his Rookie of the Year season?
Obviously, Luis Gil injury is damaging, and prayers up to Luis Gil. You're probably looking at about 3 months.
Yeah,
with him out. The Yankees do have pitching depth. I'm not overly concerned about filling out as long as it just stays at that. I think they like Cookie Carrasco, and I know that they're really excited about Will Warren. So there is that. Hopefully Clark Schmidt is okay. So as for Marcus Stroman, he doesn't look good, but he still adds depth. I'm not quite sure. I think he's probably still on the trade block, but there is some depth there. I'm more worried about the whole Stanton stuff for me. DJ LeMahieu, it is what it is. The Yankees should never, ever have even considered having him as an option. So they're only just getting exactly what was expected. So that's on them. That's on their front office. Well, actually, I should say it's on Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge was the one that lobbied to keep DJ LeMahieu, even though the front office wanted to DFA him last year, and kept him on for God knows what reason, vibes, I suppose. And then he gets hurt again, swinging on a pitch about a foot outside the strike zone, and then that's it, injured again. So, it's not a good look. Really, really bad look. But the biggest problem and the worst look of complete front office negligence and malpractice is this whole Giancarlo Stanton stuff.
Yeah.
It's absolute malpractice. I don't want to hear anyone blaming Stanton. I don't want to hear any of that. Yeah, he's hurt, but they knew he was hurt in October, and according to Brian Cashman, they kind of thought that he was okay, but he hadn't swung a bat in 4 months. How would you know whether he was okay or not? You're not going to know until he picks up a bat again. He didn't pick up a bat again until a couple of weeks before spring started, and then they were like, "Oh shoot, he's still hurt." They should have been on top of that. They should have been on top of that in December. They should have contacted him, and they should have been like, "How is your elbows? Have you picked up a bat? Please pick up a bat, and I want to see how you are." Right? And then if there was an injury, obviously then he would come back to them that he was still injured, and then they could have done something. They could have gotten that platelet injections.
Yeah.
The PCP injections. Then and there in December or January. If they did that in January, or the surgery takes 3 months recovery. If they go ahead of it in January, he'd been fine by April. So I mean that's negligence on the front office's part. They just sat in their hands. And considering the Yankees have no right-handed power on this offense outside of Aaron Judge, it's complete negligence for them to be like, "Oh well, Stanton, we'll see how it goes over the next couple months. I'm sure he's fine." How would you know without being in touch with him? That's absolute negligence. They should have checked in on him during the off-season, gone on top of it. They know his injury history. They know how important he is. He's like the X factor to the lineup, and they know that they don't really have any other options, and they obviously knew that they weren't going to be heavily investing in the offense anyway in the offseason, thus making him even more of a priority. So for them to just kind of leave it and just see when he picks up a bat a couple of weeks before spring just feels like complete negligence. I don't understand it, and I don't like it. I don't understand what the medical team is doing over there in New York, and I think that's a huge miss. And I'm not going to accept otherwise. It was a huge organizational malpractice that they knew he was hurt all year, and instead of following up on it in the offseason, they were like, "I'm sure he's fine." Unbelievable. Plus, you also know that he will have a lower half injury at some point this year anyway. You know that because that happens every single year. His lower half will get injured. He will get a groin strain. He will get a hamstring injury because that happens every single year with Stanton. So they should have planned ahead and gone on top of this elbow thing so that when he does go down with a lower half injury, it's not that big a deal and he's not going to miss that many games because he's that important. I am only going after the front office. I'm not going after Stanton. I'm just knowing that Stanton has that injury history. And for an organization that knows he has an injury history, and for them to know that he is our second most important bat, and for them to sit on their hands and hope for the best is complete front office malpractice. And everyone should be held accountable, especially the medical team. Sorry, Brian Cash, we don't better pass on that either. You've got to be on top of it. Absolute failure on the half of the New York Yankees right there. Failure, and we're in a tough spot now. We're in a tough spot because of that failure.
No, it's if they would have addressed it, like they knew they had this issue. As soon as the season ended, he should have been tested the next day. Like he should have been at the medical facility, and then they would have enough time. So yeah, maybe it's late April, early May. He's all ready to go. And we know that he's going to have a slow start when he gets back because that's on his resume too. He's a slow healer, as far as, coming back and being effective. So you lost Soto. Now you're missing it. You're going to miss Stanton for a period of time. And again, the Yankees just keep putting all the pressure on Aaron Judge. He now has to be a one-man show to put power into that lineup, and it's really unfair because if he's not hitting a home run that game, the chances of the Yankees, coming away with a victory is going to be minimized. Because you don't even know who's going to be on, who's his protection in the lineup. that that's another question that still has to be asked, because there's no clear cut. Right? Here's a lineup that gives you the most confidence that you're going to start off the season on the right foot, because they can't even commit to a third baseman. There's question marks of your backup catcher. Dominguez's defense in left field is still questionable.
It's an adventure.
So, you don't know what this is. Is Dominguez going to have to have more time down in the minors, at a certain point to fine tune what he's doing? Or are they just going to throw him into center field and put Bellinger in left? Like, these are the questions that do not have me with the most confidence.
No.
I'm usually, Donald, you've known me for years now. I'm always optimistic going into the year because it's a clean slate. Anything can happen. Every year on game one could be our year. I got to be honest. I'm not feeling it. And it bothers me.
Bro, I'm the same. It actually bothers me too, because this is the first spring that because I'm the same as you. Every single spring, I have give the team a clean slate, and I'm excited every year. And I'm not sure whether it was just because they made a World Series last year, and instead of kind of having really positive vibes since then, it's kind of gotten the news has gotten worse and worse and worse as each week goes on. It's maybe affected the vibes a little bit. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'm definitely a little bit annoyed at how they've handled these injuries and the lack of depth on this roster. And I think that's probably what affected how I'm feeling about things. Because, even though, I am very critical, I think everyone knows that, I am very fair as well. And if there's something to be excited about, I genuinely get excited. And I would say that the thing to be really positive about right now would be George Lombard Jr. looks phenomenal. Spencer Jones looks phenomenal. So there are some good things. The pitching, by and large, I think has been pretty darn good. Obviously, Garrett Cole was not good. But I think some of that was to do with Anthony Rizzo's terrible defense at short. That inning, anyway, kind of affected him. But that's one issue with Garrett Cole is that once injuries happen, whenever there's like some errors that happen around him, he starts to lose concentration a little bit. But by and large, apart from that, the pitching's been good. Sorry, what did I say? Yeah, I didn't mean Rizzo. I meant Volpe. Yeah, Volpe's defense is short. Sorry about that. Apart from that, generally pretty excited about our prospects. I think Lombard and Spencer Jones look phenomenal. So if you want some positives, that's that. Ben Rice looks okay offensively. So there's some positives to take from spring so far. Absolutely. But if you're being critical, the defense doesn't look any better in general. They're making a ton of mistakes still. So the fundamentals are still not there. That was apparently something that we were promised. I don't know, man. Just the injuries continues to be the problem. Mishandling injuries, lack of depth.
Yeah, it's as far as the defense coming in, going throughout the process with the offseason, one of the things we were saying is that the way that the offseason was constructed, the defense was looking like it was going to be more sound. And it just seems like it. I don't know. I have a feeling it will get there, but not seeing it yet, and the question marks. And I think it all comes down to Dominguez. His issues right out of the gate with left field kind of sucked the life out of the defensive excitement and the improvements that the Yankees did, because they did make some good defensive moves.
Oh yeah, they will.
But can we see it come to fruition before game one, please? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's excuse me. It's just leaving me a lot to be. It's leaving a lot to be desired, and it's really. I think it's putting a very negative spin on the team this spring, like we haven't seen in a long time.
But one thing that it doesn't leave a lot to be desired is our loyal supporters. So maybe let's say hello to them.
I love
it. Nice segue, right? Nathan, what is up? Nathan, good to see Nathan in the chat. Nathan has been busy in LA, is what he's saying. I'm in LA right now. All right. Salute, man. Salute, brother. Thanks so much for joining. Um, he's been busy covering games and doing events. That's my man in the grind, doing the hustle. That's awesome. And and we've got Lynn in the chat as well from the upper deck. Y'all need to go and check out her and Sierra's show on Sundays. They really boss it on Sundays. I do recommend you guys check that out if you haven't already done so. And let's see what some of the news is right now. Lombard is going to be in AAA in early spring. I'm betting we will see him in the Bronx at some point this season. I'm not. It might be a little early, but I would say by 2026, you could be.
Yeah.
They could be. He could very much be an option there. I love his upside. I love his athleticism. You can see his bat. You can see the power in his bat. I just feel that there is a great prospect there. They just need to continue to handle that well. And I think that you're going to see a really talented player right there. Really appreciate Nathan. Everyone, please subscribe to the Pinstripe Chronicles. They are the best. You're the best, man. Thank you so much.
You are the best, Nathan. Thank you.
Thank you. Really do appreciate it. FJ is spot on here. The Yankees can't make any big trades right now. They have no leverage. They are desperate, and every team knows it. So much for Cashman waiting for the market to come to him. Brilliant point. There's a lot to get into with that. I don't think Hal Steinbrenner helped them because if it's basically it's not a secret that the Yankees have a budget. It's not a secret that the Yankees are not going to spend a further penny without moving Stroman's contract. Hal is the reason for that. And now it's very difficult to move Stroman's contract because of it. Now, Stroman's contract is still not good. It's still not a good contract. Plus, he looks dreadful in spring, so he's not helping himself there. And the chances of the Yankees getting a team to eat even 50% of that contract, the remaining year of this contract, would be a shock. And that's just a reality. So the Yankees are in a tough spot right now. They don't have any leverage. There's also an aspect to the fact that they have so many question marks right now that it's almost difficult to recommend making a move right now because we don't know what the biggest issue is right now. We don't know whether the biggest issue is going to be the DH situation because of Stanton's injury. We don't know whether it's going to be starting pitching with Luis Gil's injury. We don't know that yet. We don't know whether it's going to be the lack of righty power. We don't know whether it's going to be third base. We don't know because there's so many question marks on this roster right now. And not all of them are going to turn out badly. I'm not saying that because there's a good chance that some will turn out pretty okay. But it's almost prudent to wait through spring to figure out how things come together before figuring out what the biggest weakness is, because there's so many holes on this roster, and I think that's probably why our vibes are down a little bit as opposed to previous years, because there probably shouldn't be this many holes in a team that's just come off a World Series. In fact, I can't recall a time that the Yankees have been to a World Series and the very next year have this many holes. You know what I'm saying? Now, the pitching aside, I think the pitching looks good, but there are a lot of holes on this team, and I don't think they allocated their resources correct. In fact, I know they didn't allocate their resources correct. What should I say? We've got Ken in the chat. Ken's got a new channel. Sub up to Ken's channel.
Yeah, Ken, put the link to the channel in the chat so we could all give you a follow.
Absolutely.
And, definitely, for all the support you've given us, we want to pay it back to you and help you grow on your channel.
Well said, Tats. CBB Dominguez defense isn't as questionable as Soto is in right field for the Mets. Well, I mean, we're not going to worry about the Mets.
Don't worry about them.
The Dominguez issue is going to be a concern. But I'm still giving him time and faith, and to see how he develops over the course of this spring. I'm not making any moves during spring. I'm giving him every opportunity to win that job. Acevedo's the Toronto not signing Vladdy. They should go after him now. Pereira, Urias, Delgado, and Stroman. I mean, I think Vladdy might be available by July, depending on where
The trade
Toronto is.
deadline.
If Toronto are competing for a wild card spot, they might try and move
Get
Vladdy
something,
in
get yeah, get
mid-season.
something out of it before they
Yeah,
lose him to nothing.
before they lose him. That might be a time for the Yankees to jump and pounce. In which case, uh, the Yankees should be very, very aggressive in that way. But until then, we've got a lot to get through, and I'm not sure whether we have enough to get us to July right now offensively. MJ
Let's
is
hope that
worried.
we're in it by July.
Right. There's a distinct possibility Dan will be out for the season. I hope not, but I do think that he's going to be out for a significant length of time. John the Beagle Dad does say that there are holes in this lineup. There are. You know, we have a lot of lefty sticks, but not a lot of righty power sticks.
Yeah.
And that is definitely an issue. Got Damien in the chat. Ken says, I don't see Lombard jumping from high AAA in one shot. Yeah, absolutely agree. I think you will see Lombard in AA because that's usually the best for development. And AAA is not necessarily that. I think he's going to spend the majority of time in AA. He might have a quick cup of coffee in AAA before getting moved up to the majors. But I think you'll see majority of his development in AA this year. And Ken has his channel there, so salute there. Once again, thanks so much to everyone that is watching us on X or on YouTube. If y'all could do us a big, big, big favor to keep the lights on the channel by hitting the like button and doing all the good stuff, hitting the sub button if you haven't already done so. And you know, if you haven't had a chance to say hello to us, hop on over to YouTube, hit the sub button, and then you can chat to us, and we will be delighted to discuss your comments and stuff like that. Because we want all fans to have a voice here on this channel. This is the channel for the fans. This is one of our big selling points. So hop on over and talk to us. But once again, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, I like this comment here from Damien. I'll pull this one up. He's saying we gave Volpe a full season and his ceiling is not as high as Dominguez. We need to give him his opportunity. And we've been saying that. I know there's a lot of chatter about him being a bust and get him off of left field as fast as you can. It's not working. He's learning a whole new position. I think we're not dealing. Athletes these days are not like the athletes of the past. It used to be where if you were an outfielder, you could play left, right, center. Right, your athleticism transition position to position. Players these days are so specialized in a position. It's not like it used to be. So he may be able to play left field. I'm having patience with it because we've passed on so many trades where he was the focal point. I'm not just going to throw him in the trash. I'm going to give him a fair shot.
Oh yeah, they all deserve a fair shot.
If we're coming into May and we're still seeing some of these issues, maybe you need to reevaluate the situation. But the workouts he was doing in the off season, we've talked about it. It's so much different than in a live game.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's caught balls in the outfield, in left field. It's not like every ball to him is being dropped. It's it's not that bad. So let's just ease up on him a little bit. If he's not figuring it out, we'll say so. But
well, I think two things can be true. I think it's basically a fact that he's very much struggling in that field, and he doesn't look good there. Right? There's not even a question about that. There's no debate about that. He doesn't look good there, but he still deserves time. He still deserves our faith, and he still deserves our patience. And the Yankees need to ease the pressure on him a little bit. I don't want him leading off because if he has to worry about setting the table for Aaron Judge and Bellinger, that's a lot of pressure on him as well as figuring out left field. So what I would do is I would have him lower in the order and have him still in left field and figuring things out. That's what I would do. I think it's best for his development that way. If you really can't hack it, then there is always that option that you move him to center field and have Bellinger play left field. So I do think two things can be true, but it is very important that they give him this opportunity to win this job and take this job and excel, because it is true that he has a much higher ceiling than Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe has lived a charmed life to this point. Now let's say a shout out to a new sub, I believe, and certainly a new conversation starter here. What's up, gentlemen? You guys are the opposite of us. I assume the Mets. You guys have offense issues and we have pitching issues. I'm sure you guys and us will figure it out. So to Christopher, thank you so much for hopping on. If there is reference to the Mets, first of all, congratulations for taking Soto off you guys. And despite his issues in right field, he is one of the most amazing players I've ever had the pleasure of watching in person. So I'm sure you guys are going to be absolutely fine. But don't love your pitching. And I think your biggest mistake was having Clay Holmes as an option in your rotation. That is a big mistake because that dude couldn't hack it here as a closer. So I'm not sure what you're seeing to make him a starter, but the Mets have an owner that will do whatever it takes to win, and that is a pretty good thing to have under your belt. So even if it doesn't work out, I'm sure that they will be active by the end of spring. So salute to you. Thanks so much for your comment.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when you think of it, because the Mets always had pitching. So after they had that, after they were able to sign Soto, it is kind of strange in the baseball world for the Mets not to have pitching. So it's going to be a tough. I think it's going to be an interesting start of the season for New York on the baseball landscape for both teams. But right now, my concern it is with the Yankees. It always will be. I know I can't worry about the other borough right now. I got too many problems in my own house, with Stanton, and we don't even know. We haven't heard any updates on Clark Schmidt. We haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah, the bulky back.
It's the nightmare that never ends. And it's death, taxes, and Yankee injuries. Those are your guarantees in life.
It's true.
But you brought up Warren earlier, and he was one. He was somebody that we were hoping to be able to talk about this week, because we were, very critical of the couple of starts that he got last season, and we had said after his first start that it looked like he was a brand new pitcher, and his next outing after that, he was still just as impressive. Does that ease the confidence of the absence of heel, that we have somebody like Warren that can kind of?
Do you mean ease the worries?
Ease the worry, yeah.
Right.
That's the word I was looking for.
Ease the confidence.
Ease the worry of the starting rotation to start the season.
I actually kind of want him to get that fifth starter job.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of earned it. His numbers are excellent. I really think that he's establishing a change up, which is very impressive. And also, he's reached almost 96 mile an hour on his fastball. So his fastball is going up a little bit on the gun. And he's getting better movement on his changeup. And suddenly, you're now starting to see what the Yankees saw in him. So it's definitely pretty exciting. Look at his spring numbers. 2-0 with a 1.13 ERA. I mean, that's brilliant. A whip of 0.5, which is brilliant. And 11 strikeouts in 8 innings. Very, very good. So he's definitely something to be happy about. That's one of the big improvements is seeing his changeup, establishing that changeup, and getting a little bit more velo on that fastball up to about 96. So if you've got a good fastball changeup combo, um, and plenty of movement, then you're onto a winner. And that's what we're seeing so far in spring. 2-0, 113 ERA with a 0.50 whip is fantastic numbers. And I think that's something that has probably earned him the fifth starter job. But again, the elephant in the room is Marcus Stroman. What are they going to do here? He's got a 10 ERA in spring. He's barely hitting 88 mile an hour on the gun with his fastball, and he's throwing cut fastballs over the middle of the plate. He looks terrible, and
Yeah,
he's
he
the
did not look good.
starter, bro. Well, I mean that's an issue, man. So I don't know what I mean. I don't know whether it's a case of he already knows he's got a spot, so he's not all that worried. But I mean, if he's playing for a spot in the rotation, then it's hard to give him that. But he's also not going to pitch out of the bullpen because he keeps saying that I'm the starter, bro. So the Yankees are in a tough spot, and then once again, the Yankees have no leverage in trade negotiations. I mean, they'll be lucky to even get a team to eat 25% of this year's salary. The way that he's pitching and the lack of leverage they have in this situation, it's a complete mess. It really is a complete mess. But again, I don't want to be overly negative. We're talking about Will Warren. He's a positive, and I would give him that fifth starter job if he continues to pitch like this.
Yeah, and even beyond the numbers, because in the spring we always have the spring training all stars. Tyler Wade was always, he always had one of the, he would have better numbers than some of our superstars. And when the season started, he went on vacation. So. It's hard. You throw the numbers out. And you're like, all right, it looks really good. But the difference with Warren is it's now I could use the word properly. It's his confidence in his arsenal. So you do see a different demeanor about him, where he looks like he is just ready, like he wants that spot. Like as soon as Schmidt went down with a cranky back. It's like one's like, oh, here's my opportunity, and I'm not going to waste it.
Yeah, you're right. Shout out to TC Steels in the chat. Thank you. John the Beagle Dad says Stroh's pitching like he doesn't give a damn, and he's sick of being behind the proverbial 8-ball.
Yeah.
Shout out also to Dev Finch in the chat too, and Ken says that Clark Schmidt has a back strain. So I don't know when we're going to do to see Clark Schmidt, but they're rightfully taking their time with him. But yeah, man, the injuries are piling up, and this is one of the worst off seasons for that to happen because we just don't have a lot of depth.
Just want you to shout out, old Sarge. How are you doing? Long time no see.
Salute.
It's. All right, we'll bring up this question here from TC because we were on, injuries and concerns and shit like that.
Yeah.
With Cole's outing and Cruz's ERA, is there any concern there?
No, I wasn't overly concerned about Garrett Cole's outing yesterday because, as I said, even though I got the ring name wrong because I wasn't concentrating, Rizzo's was not the person I meant. Volpe's error in shortstop was really kind of started the whole thing. And that's one issue that Garrett Cole has. Whenever the Yankees kind of struggle defensively behind him, he tends to lose concentration. And that's when things start to snowball with him. He's a guy that likes to get in a rhythm. And once he's in a rhythm, he's basically unstoppable and he's the best pitcher in baseball. But yeah, I would say Volpe's error definitely contributed to that. Plus, his fastball wasn't well located, and that was definitely an issue with him. He wasn't really locating his fastball, although the velo was good, and that's important. Not well located, and that was really it for him. Not overly concerned, as I say, it doesn't really matter. Spring, it's going to be okay. So I think that's going to be fine. Cruz ERA, on the other hand, yeah, I'm a little bit more concerned about that. I don't think he's pitched well. I don't think he's pitched well at all, in fact.
Yeah, I think it's, he's new to the system. He's adjusting to a new pitching staff, learning to work with Austin Wells. So I want to be a little more patient with Cruz. But, it's one of those, am I panicking about it? No. Am I paying attention? Yes. As far as with Cole, it's Garrett Cole. We know his resume.
Yeah,
I'm not even sweating it.
not at all.
Not yeah, not at all. And Lou, yeah, I know you're Volpe's biggest fan, but no, it's yeah he's left us wondering. He really has left us in a situation where it's where is this kid that we were all clamoring about? It's the same thing with Dominguez. Is it the coaching down in the minor leagues where this is a point I wanted to bring up before, that I've been thinking about for a while. Uh, you have the development in the minor leagues, and their numbers always look good. They come up to the major leagues, and it always seems like they take a step back. So, is this something where the minor league coaches and the major league coaches, mainly Aaron Boone, are just not communicating what the strengths are and how to properly utilize these guys? Because it seems like it's not just one or two guys, it's everybody. That just seems to always have these little hiccups where it's like, is there an issue with the development?
Oh, in terms of fundamentals,
Why they're not, they're not carrying what they've accomplished from the AAA or the minor leagues, because some of them are AA, and they're not bringing them up to the major leagues. It's like they've left the bag at the airport, sitting on a curb. There's always something missing with these guys.
I mean, let's not forget that Volpe did win Gold Glove in his rookie year.
Yeah.
And I'm also very happy with Peraza's defense. I think he looks great. And Oswaldo Cabrera's defense at third, I think he also looks great. And I think Lombard looks great. So
Lombard looks phenomenal.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about that, but I don't know how heavily the Yankees preach fundamentals as an organization, because there's often many a time where the Yankees are poorly positioned, maybe throw to the wrong base, throw the wrong cutoff man. These kind of fundamental issues that continue to every single year, and it's a lot of it is because as has been since Aaron Boone has taken charge. I just don't think that the Yankees heavily focus on it. I don't think it's something that they really, really focus on. Like, for instance, when Joe Girardi was in charge, and he had Pena on his coaching staff, or Rob Thompson on his coaching staff, they heavily focused on things like fundamentals and especially spring. Spring was not kind of a fun vibes kind of a thing, which it is under Aaron Boone now, but that's obviously what they want. They want the fun vibes. But when it was Rob Thompson and Joe Girardi, or even Pena and Joe Girardi, they really had drill sergeant springs where they had them running, they had them really working out and really focusing on fundamentals. And it definitely helped on the field. So I do think that is something that the Yankees aren't really focusing too heavily on now. And I think it's to their detriment. I don't think it's necessarily anything to do with the organization, though. I think it's just mostly to do with major league coaching.
Yeah, you mean the one that just got an extension before a game was played?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, not to rip open a scab on it, but it is. Hey, they made the decision. We're the ones stuck with it. Right. So, no, it's when you see in the prospects like Lombard and how he's doing. You see Peraza just kind of if he's not the opening day third baseman, it's a crime, especially after everything they've done to him. And he's carrying his own weight. I see no reason why Peraza should not be the third baseman on opening day. No reason.
Well, actually, judging by Aaron Boone's interview yesterday. Did you watch yesterday's game?
I did not catch the interview.
Okay, so Aaron Boone said that it's basically a platoon, and from at the moment it looks like it's going to be Peraza that'll face lefties because he's got very good numbers against lefties, and then Oswaldo Cabrera will get the majority of at bats. That's the way it's looking right now. The Yankees love Oswaldo Cabrera, and
So do I.
well, yeah, so I know, and to be honest, I was the one that championed him a couple of years ago,
Yep.
even before he reached the major. So I mean, it's not the case, but I'm just saying that that's the Yankees love Oswaldo Cabrera. So I think Oswaldo will face righties and Peraza will face lefties. I mean, still, it's not the worst situation because I like both of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go with the platoon. But I mean, is Peraza a better prospect than Oswaldo Cabrera? Yes. And is he that far off of a prospect than Anthony Volpe? No. But the Yankees don't like Peraza, so what can I do about it? Nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, and the roll of my eyes. Yeah, no, they don't use common sense. That's the problem. It's been the problem forever.
Agreed. TC.
So
Lombard will be better than Volpe. Absolutely agreed.
But no, in a normal year, a platoon like that would drive me absolutely crazy. And my initial reaction was to just roll my eyes like, oh, here we go again, because it's Peraza. But if for the righty lefty splits, it actually is the right move to utilize the both of them for that position.
Yeah.
Because you're also not tying somebody into, you're also allowing, you have the situation where you can give, Volpe a day off and you got Peraza.
That's right.
So it still leaves you the flexibility of the infield without completely destroying your defensive strength.
Yeah, I did have an issue with Boone's interview during the game yesterday. Plus, he did leave the door open for someone to run and take the job, but he did say that he's going to wait and see. But at the moment, it's a platoon. But if one of them runs away with the job, then they'll
so be it. Yeah,
they'll take that under advisement. But we've got Friday. Fridays at John's. Salute to you, man. Thanks for hopping on. I'm not too concerned. Much rather have the Yankees go through a rut right now as opposed to regular season. It's a good point. I mean, we are obviously, there's some things to be concerned about, but by and large, if there is a time to have issues, it's now rather than the regular season. So we'll see. But I do see these issues rearing its ugly head fairly soon because I don't think the Yankees have much depth offensively, but it's a good point, and it's important to remember that and not go overboard in the first week or so of spring.
Yeah,
yes. The answer is yes to that. I think both of them are making it. Don't you?
No. I'm in agreement. I said, look, we don't know what's going to happen long term with a guy like Dom Smith. If we can ride his, a hot bat out of the spring to start the season and get us onto the right footing, ride that wave until it dies out, and then make your decision.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna have one of those, like a Frenchie Cordero, where they're just lighting it up until they're not. If that's Dom Smith this year, that's fine with me, because it's who else are you gonna have? Who else is going to take that spot? I think Dom Smith is kind of playing himself to a DH. And it could be a cheap and effective replacement until Stanton's ready, because there's no commit. It's not like if you bring in JD Martinez, you're not going to create a log jam.
Yeah.
If Dom Smith and Ben Rice are sharing a DH role with some of the other guys on the roster.
So I think that's how they're going to
do it. It's a no-lose situation financially for the Yankees for that.
Yeah, I think that's how they're going to play this. I think you're going to look at Dom Smith and Ben Rice platooning at DH, but also leaving it flexible for Aaron Judge to get a day off, maybe once a week or something like that. I think that's probably what they're planning on doing. Ben Rice can be a third catcher. slash backup first baseman. Dom Smith can play a little left badly, play a bit of first badly, and be an average DH. So I think that's probably what they're planning on doing. I mean, obviously, is that exciting?
You know, once you said it out loud,
no, it's not. But maybe it'll hold. Maybe it'll hold the fort down. TC's asking if Alex Jackson will be the backup catcher. I don't think so. I think it's going to be
Escara.
I think it's going to be Escara, the Uber driver. Did you see that home run that he hit yesterday?
That was nice swing.
Yeah.
But you was just to take one step back with Ben Rice, when you said it out loud with the backup, your emergency third catcher, DH, first base, he actually has the versatility to be really valuable to the bench. Ben Rice is, I would agree. I think he's definitely making the roster.
Oh yeah, I can't see why not. Man.
I can't. No, it's
three lefty cut. Yeah, it's not ideal, man. The Yankees have so many lefty bats. It's like the Yankees have overcorrected, and that's what's so weird about the way constituted this roster. Because in the past we had no lefty bats, and then it's been like, we need lefty bats, and now the entire roster is lefty bats, and even the switch hitters can't hit from the other side. Can only hit lefty bats. It's like, oh my god, what is going on? So they've really.
It's funny. I think it was like 2 years ago.
Bizarre, man. Honestly.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 years ago. We were screaming, "Where are the lefties?" Now we're going, whoa, too many.
Righty, please.
Can't they get it right?
The way they constituted this roster is so bizarre, man. For $300 million, ridiculous vibes.
But to have that payroll and still have so many, question marks. It's inexcusable.
Absolutely,
it really is unexcusable. You should be in a better spot, especially coming off of a World Series appearance. There should not be this much frustration. Injuries are going to happen. That's just sports. It is what it is.
But you can plan ahead.
There's no contingency plan for the guys that every year are going to get hurt some form or another. Whether it's going to be missing a week, a month, or half a season, you could pencil in the name. You could write them in pen, magic mark, permanent marker of which players are going to get hurt. Where's the contingency plan for that?
Absolutely,
nothing.
I mean, if I were the Yankees, I'd be wrapping Stanton up in cotton wool, man. And obviously since they knew that he was injured through the back half of the year. Why they didn't jump ahead of it, and as I say, give him the PCP injections, or even get the surgery in the off season, so he'd be ready for spring training. It's just mind-boggling for me.
Yeah,
it's like that's the kind of stuff that you need to plan ahead for. Or if they didn't want to do that, then at least bring another option, another stick off the bench that they could reliably trust to help us. So, I mean, again, bizarre roster constitution. Part of it is Hal Steinbrenner's budget for sure, and part of it's Brian Cashman's misallocation of resources. Even though I would say by and large he's had a strong offseason, it still wasn't enough to ease concerns. These kind of injuries are, you could have predicted. DJ LeMahieu, I could have predicted for them like 6 months ago. Like, I mean, come on. It's not difficult.
It's like when the news broke, like all of us were like, wow, I'm shocked this happened. Like, where did this come from?
The dude wasn't healthy all year last year.
I think
he has one swing of the bat in spring training and he's done again.
It's like, come on.
And they're surprised at that? I mean, how they're even in this position for him to be competing for a spot is gross negligence. Gross franchise negligence to have DJ LeMahieu even in a position to be competing for a spot. He was done. He's toast. He knows he's toast. Everyone knows he's toast. So that was a huge mistake right there. And the fact that he didn't plan ahead on the Stanton injury is, again, gross negligence. And I'm
The
not letting the
Stanton one's
franchise
pissed me
off with it. No, even the PR and the vibes they can throw at me all they want, but as gross negligence, unacceptable for a team like the Yankees who are trying to get to a World Series again.
Yeah, it's like the Stanton one. That's the one that really pissed me off because it was so avoidable. You know, he still would have had some time on the IL, but he could have been so much further ahead of the clock.
Mm-hmm.
So that DJ. Well, this is exactly what I said in the beginning of the offseason. What I wanted to avoid is him being the outcast and the next player that we despise because he does this. His resume, he deserves better. The injuries aged him really quick, and it's unfortunate. So I didn't want to get to the point where it's just bashing DJ, because like I said, I've said it over and over again. Nobody wants to see a player injured.
Never.
As much as we didn't want him to be in the opening day roster, we still made a very legit argument of where his value is on the bench. Was he a premier bench player? No, that's really Cabrera. It should have been John Birdie, but they screwed that up. So, and here again, it's one stupid decision comes back and bites the Yankees in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a huge DJ LeMahieu fan. It's not that I'm shitting on DJ LeMahieu. Just you have to state the obvious. You know what I'm saying? And if you read the tea leaves and listened to DJ LeMahieu, even before that spring training game, he didn't sound confident. And if a player doesn't sound all that confident, then listen. Honestly, that's why it was very frustrating that you can. There's certain injuries in which you can basically predict, and I think they dropped the ball again in regards to that because there's not a lot of third base depth, if any, and not much of offensive depth on the right side. And again, that's on them, man. It's no one else's fault other than the Yankees. But let's say a shout out to a couple of guys. We've got Joel in the chat. Good morning.
Hey, how's it going, bro?
Average
joining us now. We got Sunil joining us.
Yeah, salute to all. And we've also got a new chat as well from G Miller, 999. I never get too high over how great a minor leaguer looks this spring. Usually means nothing. I don't get too low on how a veteran looks this spring either. Now you're spot on. That's why I'm not concerned about Garrett Cole or even some of the veterans that are coming off to a slow start. I don't worry about that stuff. But I'm just talking about the roster as a whole. I don't really worry about how veterans look in spring. Apart from maybe Marcus Stroman, considering he is technically competing for a spot, or at the very least trying to up his trade value. So that I can definitely critique, but by and large, I don't really worry about that. But it is important to talk about how a player looks, like, for instance, a Lombard and Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones, it was a big focus for him was to cut down his strikeouts, and he's done that, and now he looks really, really good. And Lombard, he didn't have the greatest year last year. It was okay, but, there was still some things to clear up, and he looks like sensational and the star of the spring so far. So there's some things that you can talk about with that for sure. Jared, Rob's got some personal things to deal with. We've sent our prayers up to Rob. He's the man.
No, TC, of course there's a concern about Dominguez, but there's also patience that has to go along with it. Because it's a guy, like I've said, we've passed up on trades to keep this guy. They threw him in a new position and said, here you go. So we have to wait to see if it is what it is, this is what he is, or is he going to turn back to be that player that we saw just dominate in that Astros series? So we still don't know who Dominguez is yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's answer his question, Tats. Are you concerned with Dominguez?
No, I'm not. Not yet. Like I said, if he's still making these mistakes, into May, then they're gonna have to reevaluate the situation.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm exactly the same spot. I'm not overly worried now. I think two things can be true. I think he does look bad in left. He's taking center field routes to the
Yeah.
ball, but I also think that there's a better chance than not that working in the spring with Bernie Williams and the coaching staff, and he should get better. I noticed that Bernie Williams is working really hard with him, and after that, he looked a little bit better yesterday. By and large, he looked fine and left. So maybe maybe this spring is starting to hit him. He's starting to finally connect, and the little light bulb's going to flash, and he's going to be okay in left. So that's I think that's what I think is going to happen. I think Dominguez is going to be fine. Jared, any concerns with Anthony Volpe? Tats, answer that question. I'll give you my answer.
I am getting concerned about Volpe. He's going into year 3. Last year was that little bit of a sophomore slump. So I wasn't too critical of him. He did have a pretty decent postseason. So it's with Volpe. The problem with Volpe is me personally. I expected more growth from him, and a little bit of a mature as far as baseball skill, a little bit of a mature approach this spring going into year 3. So I am a little concerned. Am I panic? Can
Yeah.
he be our everyday shortstop? Yes, but he's got. I think he's. I don't want him getting stuck into his head. I don't want him to be another Torres.
Jared, I'm more concerned about him than just on Dominguez. I'm actually with you on that. But to answer your question, no, I'm not concerned about Anthony Volpe because I think this is who Anthony Volpe is. I think he's just a okay player that occasionally might go on a little hot streak, but I don't think he's got much of a bat. And I think that he's got a terrible arm at shortstop, but his great footwork makes up for his very poor arm at short. So I think that's who he is. I'm not that high on him, so that's why I'm not concerned about him. I think he's going to be very similar to what to he was last year, and some people will be satisfied with that, others won't be. I don't think he's that good a prospect right now. I just don't see it. But it doesn't mean I don't think he's a good player. I just don't think he's got that next. I don't think he's got a great ceiling. I think Lombard has a higher ceiling. And I think Spencer Jones has a higher ceiling. I think Dominguez has a slightly higher ceiling. And I think Austin Wells has a higher ceiling. I'm just not that high on Volpe. I think he's a little bit overrated, personally. I think he's always been overrated by the organization. And there's some around the league that would definitely agree, and some won't, because he is such a good dude and he works incredibly hard. So if there's one thing that you can trust is that Volpe will work tirelessly to be a good shortstop, and he's a good person to have, and it means a lot to him to have the pinstripes on and stuff like that. So it's not a case of not liking the kid or anything like that. I'm rooting for him. I think he's a good guy, and I think he's an okay player. I just don't think he's that good. I just don't see that next ceiling with him that I see with others. And also, if you look around the league, the shortstops of his
are ahead of him. Yeah,
are so far ahead of him. It's not even funny. And that's where you can really compare him with the peers. He's just not there. He's not even in the same breath as a Gunnar Henderson, who the Yankees selected Volpe over him, and then other ones. He's just not there. And I think it's I think it's fair to critique that, but I think he's also a good dude and an average player.
No, I think what really is helping him, bide himself more time is, like you were alluding to, his work ethic is insane.
Yeah.
Same thing with Dominguez. And it's not that none of these guys work hard, but you can tell when somebody they're dialed in, and they're 100% focused. Volpe has it. It's just the ceiling of a skill is not as advanced as a Gunnar Henderson.
for
And I
sure.
bring it up because he's making me look really foolish.
Oh,
Because
that's right, because you preferred Volpe over
I
Gunnar.
said, man, he is, you know, really making me look worse than I normally make myself look. Because I had made the statement that I would prefer Volpe over Henderson. Because one, we only saw Henderson, I think, at that point for a month, so the book was still out. And Volpe was coming off a Gold Glove season, so it's Volpe's got to help me look a little bit better.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with rooting on your guy, man, and giving him support. So I mean, if that's your one of your worst takes, then you take it. It's not that horrible because he did win a Gold Glove, but I don't see that great a ceiling with him that I see with others. I don't think it's fair to critique that, but I'm not overly worried because I think he's just going to give you solid defense. But there's going to be times where that nasty arm of his is going to rear its ugly head, as you saw yesterday, and that's just something you're just going to have to live with.
Yeah. But it's there's so much, there's still too many question marks, and I'm saying that after we're talking about Volpe, but there's a few of them, and we didn't even talk about how Judge's numbers are going to look with nobody batting around him.
Look at you, you on blast, brother.
Oh, Lou, let me tell you, it was. But I said what I said. I said what I said, and he's not helping me. But like I said, Gunnar was only up here for a month compared to Volpe coming off his Gold Glove.
But dude, you're gonna blame someone in the Yankee front office because they literally chose Volpe over Gunnar.
So look, I'm owning it. I said it. Am I regretting it? Yeah.
Darren says it was odd seeing Austin Wells lead off yesterday.
And
here's a shocking statistic. If he is our leadoff hitter on opening day, that would be the first time in Yankee history that a catcher has led off a regular season game. So that would be amazing if that is the case. Actually, you know what? It's kind of growing on me. It's not the worst, believe it or not, because he does have a good eye at the plate. And he has decent plate discipline, and he might get some fastballs to hit with Aaron Judge on deck. It's not the worst idea. There has been crazier ideas in the history of Aaron Boone. I'm not sure whether that is actually one of them. In fact, I would say it's one of the better ideas on a team that doesn't have any leadoff hitters. I can kind of see it. So. That's it. I actually heard that yesterday. On the guest telecast.
I want to bring up one last comment here to answer before we close it out for the weekend. G Miller 999, thanks for joining us. Hope to see you a lot more. Any disadvantage to playing Dominguez in center field where he's comfortable and putting Bellinger in left field? Any defensive downside?
No,
I don't think there'll be a defensive downside to that. The downside would be it got to that means it would have gotten to the point, like I said, where they were left with no choice but to pull the plug on Dominguez and left, which means that he was just atrocious, was not figuring it out. And it would really, you'd have to start to worry now again about his mental capacity, his mental stability in the game. Because, these players are not used to, especially a high prospect like him. He's used to all the praise, not the criticism. So how does he handle being moved back to center? Is it a weight off his shoulders, or does it weigh on him that he couldn't get left field figured out?
Yeah, there's two schools of thought to this, right? Yeah. And Stevie B does touch on this. I don't think Dominguez has, I assume, the baseball IQ to call Judge or Bellinger on certain plays. I like Bellinger as captain in the outfield. I do agree with that. So there's two schools of thought. Yeah. You could say, should the Yankees be holding their outfield hostage in favor of someone who's actually just struggling, because they've already done this before with
Yeah.
Gleyber Torres in the infield. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wanted to move Gleyber Torres to third base and have Jazz play up the middle when they acquired him, but Gleyber held them hostage, and they had to keep him at second base and give them terrible defense up the middle. And then they did it again with Gleyber at short, and it really messed things up. Whereas you should probably just go with your best alignment, and your best alignment is without a doubt Bellinger at center field, Judge in right field, and figuring out left field. That is your best defensive alignment, because Bellinger is a far superior center fielder than he is a left fielder. So there is that in mind. However, the other school of thought is, what would actually be easier for Dominguez's development? He is a center fielder by trade. That's where he is at his best. And he's at his most comfortable. And that's where he has climbed up the ranks as being one of our best prospects because of his center field play. So if you put him in his natural position, plus Bellinger is good in left field, then you're still in pretty good shape there. So there are two schools of thought to that. At least it's an option. Excuse me, for the Yankees to consider if it goes wrong with Dominguez in left field. But I think they want to give him every opportunity and have Bellinger play center field, because he plays a great center field. And again, if there's a positive, I would say Bellinger's been a big positive at spring so far. It's not been all doom and gloom, and I think Bellinger's one of the positives. I think he looks great in center field, and offensively, I think he looks fine too. So I think that's a positive.
Yeah, that's why, it. Like I said, in regards with Warren, and it goes to a lot of the players. I don't get wrapped up in the numbers. I prefer really focusing on the body language. Their comfort. Like, do they look loose and ready to play a major, game one? Bellinger is definitely in that category of yes, he is. So I'm not worried about Bellinger. He's been exciting to watch.
Oh yeah,
So he probably has been one of the highlights on the roster, along with Peraza and Warren. Those three that we know are going to make the major league roster have really, made it worth tuning into. But that is going to wrap things up for us this week. I want to thank everybody that spent their morning with us, and to all
good chat, my man. Good to hang out again.
Yeah, it's believe me, when we have an off day because we have things going on, it's not fun for us. We do it. We enjoy these mornings with you all the time.
Oh, right in under the wire.
Drunk in his back.
We need Scotty Brocious. We love Scotty. Yeah, we miss Scotty Brocious.
So just remember to hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out, your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This is the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm you with Donald. Wish you all a very happy and safe weekend. We will be back as a team again on Monday. So until then, make sure you check out Yanktified tomorrow. Make sure you check out the Upper Deck on Sunday. We got a full shows back in gear. So make sure you wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.